like last night, that's because it's the next day and I'm still in my bonnet and my pajamas. Am I at work? Yep. I do work from home during the week, which is cool. I didn't have any meetings today, so there was no need for me to put any clothes on. But y'all, today has been super hectic. So I have my nephew. He I listened to this, let me see what the podcast, no, actually I do know what the podcast was called. It's IMBO with Michelle Obama and Craig Robinson. The podcast is good, okay? I'm just gonna have to say, I'm just gonna have to tell like it is. But I want to see what the guy's name was that was on it, and he is a professor, and he did this study. John had it, and it's IMO. Yeah, I think I already said it. The podcast is IMO with Michelle Obama and Craig Robinson, her brother. And there was an episode and with John had it, and it was so good, and it was sharing, you know, now I think my generation specifically, I really feel like the age gap between older millennials versus millennials my age, within like the early 30 millennials, there's a difference, okay? But however, because I feel like we grew up more with the internet than they did, because I have a sister, she is 4 years older than me. 4 years older than me, and some of the things that I be telling, you know, that I be telling her, I know that she's just like, what? No, I wasn't doing all that. You know, I didn't do, for example, I said, I asked my sister, I said, how did you turn in your paper? Because I was telling her, I remember when I got to 9th grade, we were turning our papers either printed or on a floppy disk. By 12th grade, we were either turning them in printed again, but if you couldn't afford whatever it was to print, you can turn it in on a USB drive, right? So I was just saying, like, in that short amount of time, it was a stark difference. I'm talking about LimeWire, you know, in order to like burn CDs and stuff like that. And she was like, no, I didn't use this a lot. No, we didn't do that. And it's just like peak, you know what I'm saying? My sister was not on MySpace. You know, she did get on Facebook, but you see what I'm saying? So I feel like there's just a little bit of difference. I say all that to say, I think our generation, the millennials, even though I'm questioning if we should have kicked them older millennials kind of out, but I don't know. Anyways, because of the internet age that we grew up in, that we helped to cultivate, you know, make popular, see what's going on, there's now data to show what, you know, can happen when you're spending copious amounts of time on the internet. And even more so because y'all know we were like the age of when the cell phones started looking more like this and not a flip. You know what I mean? You know what I'm trying to say? We are the age where social media and stuff became popular and things like that. So there is now data to support, you know, on YouTube and things like that. There's now data to support the effects of these screens and everything that kids have access to, right? He was talking about how his daughter is 15 and he doesn't allow her on social media. She wants Snapchat. Our friends are on Snapchat. He's like, no, because data shows that children of a certain age have a really bad, they're getting depressed more easily, and they have really bad disposition about themselves because they're comparing themselves to people on the internet. You know what I mean? And so he just doesn't allow her. Now as an adult, if she wants to do that, but he was saying like now it's starting younger and younger, and my nephew is a example of that kind of. So Anyways, I say all that to say, I'm like, get him off. Like, get him off. He's a kid. And I can tell, right? I can tell in his temperament when he throws it. Now he's throwing a fit because I'm like, no. All I said was, we're not doing screen time for the first part of the day. We're not getting on it as soon as you get up. We're not doing all of that, right? When you get up, we're going to listen to something, do your sight words, do something like that. Man, you would have thought I spanked him. The way he was stomping around, shooting that stuff. Girl, last night I said, before I had went in my room to lay down, start winding down. Now I will say it's the summer for him, so when he's at my house, I'm not doing the bedtime because he ain't got nowhere to be. You know what I'm saying? But I'm like, I'm gonna start, you know, winding down. I go and remove my decorative pillows and stuff off the bed and stuff, and he comes in there with me, you know, instead of watching. He was watching his show, so I just decided to go, you know, anyway, start my nighttime thing. And he comes in. I was like, are you ready to come in here, you know, with me? Come in here and we ready to wind. I'm winding down. I'm gonna go to sleep now. And he's like, yeah. I said, okay, before you do that, I want you to make sure that all of your toys are put up, all your markers are put up, all your things are put up. Because I was still messing with my bed. You know, it wasn't like I was asleep or anything like that. I'm still messing with my bed. But then I start undressing his bed, you know, for him to get in and everything like that. Girl, he came back in. Now, because I was doing something else, I didn't realize how quick, you know, or whatever. And I said, turn your TV off out there, and out there by in the living room. Turn the TV off and turn your little thing off and make sure everything is off. And turn the big light off and, you know, come in. Now, what he doesn't know, and I'm sure my parents understand this, you have to go behind your kids. But I didn't at that moment. I'm sitting there. Now I'm into the show I'm watching. We both in my bed. You know, winding down, calming down. I'm watching at a show. He's playing something on his phone or something like that. And girl, he goes to sleep. Like, he falls asleep first. And I'm like, okay, now that he's asleep, I got a little quiet time. I get back up because I'm like, now I'm going to try to respond to inquire. Like, I'm going to try to get some stuff done and shut my kitchen down. Now, you shut your kitchen down. So I get up because I'm like, now, okay, now that he's asleep, I know he don't want anything else. You know, he's not going to be doing nothing else. I'm finna go shut my kitchen down. So I get up to do my closing and shut my kitchen down. When I say you didn't pick up nothing, all he did was turn. All he did was turn. I'm laughing because y'all, I was so mad. I said he just lights up my face. He just lied to my face. Girl, with no disregard. No disregard of the repercussions. I said he did when I tell you he shoved, he has this at the bottom, they're at the bottom here is where all his books and stuff is in this bookshelf right here. He can take up 2, but it doesn't yet, so that's why you see that big basket right there. But if he needs to come up, I'll pull him up. He's not there yet. Anyways, shoved that stuff till it was falling out. Couldn't even fit because he didn't, you know, it's a bookshelf, so you have to put the book. Girl, to get back on that phone in order to lay down. We did have a long day yesterday, but instead of saying I need help, or when I say lie, I got up, I was so mad, and I calmed down because I'm looking around. I was like, okay, no, some of this is my mess too, right? But I just asked him to pick up his stuff, put his books back, put his drawing stuff up. Girl, so I put all of it in the middle of my table. I said, oh no, he's straightening this up as soon as he get up. He got up, popped up, wanted that phone. I'm like, no phone. And we did that yesterday, and it's hard for him to redirect. But anyways, it's a really good podcast. You guys go take a listen. But I am pushing for him to kind of get trained out. Do y'all remember coming up and they were saying don't watch a lot of TV, it'll turn your brain to mush? now that screen time is so crazy. It goes so crazy, and it is so heavy and so addictive. Just like the video games. I remember them saying that about playing video games. But now they're saying they prefer your kid to be watching TV all day versus being on an iPad or a phone. So I am like, no, because he can't. I think that I don't have any kids. I don't, I haven't had to raise children. So I don't know. And I know one of the questions that was asked in the podcast was, how do I break this now? Because parents, and even parents of two, the woman that wrote in, she had a husband, you know what I mean? So they both had like a dynamic, from what I gathered, they both had a dynamic where they were both, true partnering in helping with the kids. It wasn't like she was a stay-at-home mom or nothing like that. Because sometimes that can get tricky. Sometimes when you're a stay-at-home mom, husband may want you to take care of all of that. You don't really get a break. But it wasn't like that from the little information that she shared. And they're using that, which I understand too. They're using that to get a break from the kids, right? Kids are all day. They're a constant thing. Especially if they're not in school, or you know what I'm saying, or in a daycare or in a something else. But they're using that screen time, like, here, have the screen time to keep them quiet and give themselves a break. And it's just like, oh, I feel that. I definitely understand that. There were a lot of times, I think that is how my nephew started with the screen, was just like to calm you down for a short period of time so that I can get your bottle ready, get your food ready, get your whatever, you know what I'm saying? But now it's just like his attitude is like a 180. And last year, was it last year, or I remember he didn't have any screen because the phone had broke, and I wasn't in a, I'm the one that buys that, I'm the one that has to replace it or whatever, and I wasn't in no rush to do so. And it was having issues. He couldn't get on anything, so he just didn't want it. And I feel like he wasn't as, like, it wasn't the same now. So I'm like, we're gonna break this phone thing. We don't need, going back to my point that I was trying to say about like raising kids, I understand so much more in watching my nephew what my mom be talking about. And my mom is like, some things seem harsh to you guys because y'all kids, y'all think everybody out to get you, or everybody trying to be mean, or nobody wants you to have anything. And it's just like, no, I have to instill these things in you in order to prepare you to be productive in the future. And I don't know what the future looks like, right? Like, I think that it's very different from my mom, who was just like, okay, the future is going to look like this, so I need to make sure you guys have all these options open. And that was just the base, right? We haven't even brought in issues with race, issues with gender, any of these other things, right? So I get what she's saying now. And I get what she's saying now. It's just like, we gotta nip this stuff in the bud and make him, do other things and other things in different areas, not just with the screen time, but in managing your emotions when you don't get what you want, right? And all these kind of things, because you have to be prepared for a future. And the way we see what's going on in the world now, girl, it can only get worse. And it's pretty bad now. But my mom was like, I just say the same thing, like, it's getting bad now. So now it's just like, it's 10 times bad, right? So now you have to prepare our future generations for 20 times as worse. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, girl, I'm on this. And even with myself, I'll never forget. I do have an addiction to my phone. I really do. I love a TikTok doom scroll, girl. I do. Now, last year, I know that was attached to some of the things I was dealing with, like depression and feeling lonely and not having community and feeling like I wanted you know, some type of engagement, or it kind of makes you feel, which is a false thing, that you're in, like, I love vlogs, I love seeing, you know, people do things and things like that, but I'm not doing those things. So essentially I'm watching someone else like live a life, right, instead of getting out there to live the life. But I do enjoy it. I love YouTube a lot. I love watching YouTube. I'll watch YouTube before I try to watch TV. I'm getting back over this year. I'm getting back into my books, like listening to audiobooks. I love reading. I always have. No, I have not always, but for a very long time. I didn't when I needed to, like in elementary school, until my mom like made me, and I was like, girl, this is a good book. I love this. But I've been an avid reader since then. And I absolutely love reading. And I'm the kind of person, like, if I don't have the energy, I feel like that about Bible study too. If you are tired at the end of the day and you don't have the energy to physically read, listen. Audio Bibles are available, and I feel like the same thing about reading. There's really no excuse to not read. You know what I'm saying? Now, is every book on audio? No, but you can find something that is, to re-engage your mind in a different way that isn't social media. But I'll never forget, I don't know what year, I don't remember what year it was. I know where I was working. That's why I'm like, I'll never forget this. And at the time, Instagram was like, Instagram wasn't all that. And then, but I was into Facebook. I was into Facebook real bad. I was into Facebook real bad, girl. And I deleted all my social media, I think for 60 days. And I felt lighter. I felt clearer. I felt more productive, because that was not in my time at all. My sister, who is a business owner, she actually only limits herself to maybe an hour a day, unless she needs to get on and post for her business, you know, stuff like that. So I'm thinking about doing that too. But girl, it's easy to make Chip do it, because guess who pays that bill? Me. Guess whose phone that is? Mine. So it's easy to do that for your kid, but for me, I gotta set the same standard. And it's just like, I don't want to give up my TikTok. But from that podcast, it does not take a long time. For him, he would only need to be off of it for, I think, less than a month. For me, you would need to be like 21 days. But him, it would take like 2 weeks. Because kids are super adaptable, right? They don't really have that concept of like, I don't have to do it if I don't want to. So kids are super adaptable, so they'll, but woo, it's so serious. It's so crazy. I'm also preparing to soft launch my administrative business. I'm actually going to open for inquiries on Monday. And my website is done in the background. Everything is secured. I don't know if I'm going to launch it, because there are 2 things that I want to do. I want to get some headshots, do a run through with the system that I chose in order to like book appointments. I don't feel very confident, I'm not gonna lie. It felt a little complicated, you know what I'm saying? So but everything else is good to go. And then there are some administrative things in the background, like getting my articles of LLC filing and all that kind of stuff done. But girl, and I'm just starting it, right? It'll get better as I get better, but I didn't want to put it off. And I've already booked my first client, and I did that without all of this stuff, so it is completely capable, but it's a hustle. I realized yesterday when I took my nephew to the arcade that, you know, it's really not that you always have the disposable income, but that was a $20 day. I ended up spending $40, but that was because he wasn't kind of ready to go, and I had got on a couple of them games and I was like, oh, okay, yeah. So that's why I ended up spending an extra $20, but for $20 he could have went and had, so, you know, a little bit of fun and kept it going. It was definitely cheaper than both. Hey y'all, good morning. Well, it's afternoon. Today is, nope, today is July 4th, and I am preparing to make my little side dish that I make every year, and a little dessert. I'm making my, you guys are so high. There we go. I'm making my dessert that I always make, just some pasta salad. And I'm making a dessert, strawberry shortcake. It's gonna be super easy. And then my nephew got him, I want to take him to the Life, but I think we still kind of feel like it might be too much going on. It's also very rainy. It's raining really bad. It's been raining all week. It's been a nasty, nasty week. So there's also that. Okay, I guess I'll make the other bag. Hold on. What we normally do is I'll drive him around like the neighborhood and stuff to watch like everyone else's, instead of taking him to like the pier or something to do a personal show. So yeah, some more noodles. I thought I was only gonna need 1 pack because I didn't want to make too much, because you know, you just don't want it wasted. I don't want it. I don't like when my food is wasted. But these are the noodles that I'm using for my pasta salad. Tricolor rotini. And then I'm boiling the second pack. I already boiled the first pack. Dessert. So I got all my ingredients. I got everything I needed, and I got some whipped cream. My nephew got him some red and blue to wear today, and I'm just gonna wear me a, it's not really giving festive, okay? It's giving, my mama finna cook. I always bring a side when my mom cook on these type of days, and we're gonna make the best. You know, it's just hard with kids because they obviously want to do something, and so you can't just do nothing. If Chip was not here, if there was no Chip, I wouldn't even leave my house today, okay? With kids, you can't just do nothing. So I'm probably going to either put a hat on today, or I might just put my hair in a ponytail like it was all week. And yeah, I'll show you guys once I'm done.